Right, what's going on, everybody? As you can tell by the title and thumbnail, it's not only me today. I'm joined by Sorare Community Manager, John. How you doing, John? You well?
What's up, George? What's up? Pleasure to be here. I'm super excited to chat a little bit.
100%. We're going to be running through our limited lineups on the contender and the champion side. We're then going to push them together, see who's got back my mic there. We're going to see who gets the biggest score out of the two. Whoever doesn't is going to do a little giveaway for one of you guys watching. Once we do that, we're going to run through a couple of questions that the community sent over to me, and we'll get ourselves out of it. Without further ado now, let's check out our limited contender lineups.
George, so what have you been focusing on? You mostly focusing on rare these days, or I know I'm a pleb in the limited sphere right now, but I'm working my way up the ladder a little bit. So thank you for coming down to our common folk land.
I haven't got as many one-off limiteds though. I've seen that Knicks collection that you've got cooking up. But no, in terms of for this week, I think my gallery's in like a decent area, but I can't seem to find anyone that I feel are going to be like smash plays. Whereas like each week, like last week, it was DeAndre Jordan and Reggie Jackson were like, you needed them. This week, all the guys seem to be in like weird L10s. I don't know how you found it, but
for sure. Yeah, no, I'm in the same spot right now. I was really having trouble picking like a lower L10 player. I've been going with Brown from Denver because I don't know, like he pops off randomly and he has great games, but recently it's just been absolutely struggle fest for me with him. So I'm trying to find a good like 10 to 20 L10 player right now. I still got hope that Scoot will do something. I got him in my back pocket right now too, but I do not have enough faith to put him in anything like champion. He's going to be a contender guy for a little bit.
100%. So, I mean, I'll share mine. I'll whack it on the screen right now so we can review it. This is what I was going to be running with in contender. Now I know normally when I run through my lineups, I'll go one by one, but we're gonna go all in one. And as you can see, your boy QG's in there. I thought if I'm going to pick anyone this week, I'll throw a QG in there. But that's what I mean. Like because there's not many teams that have got the 2 game weeks over the weekend, there wasn't anyone that popped out to me. So I've ended up with a Kyle Kuzma. You know, he's been showing the Wizards have not been particularly great, but he's been showing good flashes of high Sorare scores. Same thing with Jabari Smith Jr. Gary Harris and the Magic, they're on, maybe not Gary Harris is the guy that you want, but the Magic have been really good towards the start of the season. I think they're on like 8 or 9 unbeaten run or something crazy like that for them. QG, like I said, and then Shake Milton is the one where people that are watching are probably like, what on earth is he doing picking Milton? But Anthony Edwards missed shoot around today. There's doubts over him for the game. So, you know, if he's going to come in for the Timberwolves, potentially he'll get an increase in usage. So that was my contender lineup. What was you running through? Speak to us. Speak to me. What are you running through?
All right. Yeah. So I am a big fan of, I mean, sorry, Detroit, you guys stink right now, but I'm a big fan of Star. I think he's so athletic. He could pretty much do anything. He grabs more rebounds than pretty much anyone his size. So he's a great Sorare player. He's been a little streaky, which honestly is not a bad thing for Sorare, getting his L10 down a little bit because it was a little too high. It was like 35, 36. It might still be around there, but I love him and I think he's a great pick. He's on 1 game this week, so it's a little bit of a risk. I mean, but there's so many players 1 game this week that you kind of have to just take that risk at this point. And speaking of risk, the biggest risk on the planet, I think like we all know who I'm going to say right now. I got Mr. Jordan Poole on 1 game this week playing the Magic. Oof. I'm hoping that he could do something. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he busts out a 39, 40 point Sorare game, but I also won't be surprised if it's 7. So I need to hedge my expectations a little bit, but then I've been saying this. I've been saying that I believe in this guy. I know Alex Hooper believes in this guy. Just posted that great video on Twitter. We got Scoot Henderson, my man. I'm not giving up too easy. I think he's destined to have like a big game. It just has to happen. I don't think he's a bad player. I just think he's off to a really, really, really bad start. And that injury definitely doesn't help as well. But I still got faith. I mean, I have to. And then I got my guy Taurean Prince. The only reason that I got this my guy here is because he fit perfectly with my L10. I kind of like him coming off. He scores usually around 20 points, but he can get like 35 randomly.
Yeah, he's got a good ceiling.
Yeah, I like all these players that average in the middle, but they're like their ceiling's so high, obviously. Yeah. And then speaking of, I got either Mr. All or Nothing. I got Haywood Highsmith in there. I know he's kind of injured right now, but this dog will pull out either a 7 or a 35 to 40 point game. So I'm really banking on he could do the latter rather than a 7. But I'm not like complete. I'm pretty much like all or nothing in my contender lineup right now, but I think that's how it always is. So
Yeah.
I feel pretty good right now, and don't even get me started on last week's contender. What I had DeAndre Jordan in it, and I just let it slip throughout my fingers. Just absolutely
You
awful.
had the Jordan play as well. See, I didn't have either of them for that.
Yep,
Um,
yep.
I was big on Jackson Hayes, hoping that AD sits a game out of the 3 that he had. He's got one more as we're recording this, but I'm not hopeful. If he hits, then I'll end up hitting something. I'll hit a reward, but if not, yeah, the Hayward Highsmith one is going to be your one that I think is your make or break in your contender. He had that big game against Charlotte towards the start of the season, but you've got some scope there, definitely. Whilst the floor is with you, we'll run over to champion now.
Let's
So
do
run
it.
us through your champion team as well.
All right, so I did some shopping in the beginning of the season, so I'm a big fan of Luca and my guy Embiid. I mean, Embiid's not the prettiest game to play, but so rare wise, he really gets it done. So I comboed the two up for this week. I got Embiid playing the Celtics. I mean, I know that he actually has trouble with oh my gosh, I'm having
Al Horford.
Al Horford. Thank
Yeah.
you. That was a bad mental block, but I know Embiid has trouble with Al Horford, but I'm not too worried about it. The man is old. I don't think he's defensively really going to be stopping him. Maybe he'll put up some threes on Embiid. I'm fine with that. Doesn't hurt my score at all. And then Luka has 2 games, which is huge. I mean, one of them is against the Grizzlies too, which is like should be easy money
Yep.
for him. So I like I know they got JJJ, but like, is that really going to make a difference for their backcourt? And then I got my guy who recently JJ Redick just said is the 3rd best rookie this season. My guy Jaime Jaquez Jr. from the Heat. I absolutely love this dude. I think he's absolutely a big steal from the Heat. Their scouting, their front office and scouting guys are just absolutely insane. I don't know where they find them. I love Jaime. He is on 1 game, so it's a little sketchy, and it's not always like he's putting up big numbers. But I had a good week with him last week, and I'm gonna stick with him until he just fails me, which is probably not the best idea. But and then keep going on. I got my guy who I've been absolutely obsessed with. This is my so rare player of the year, I think, Cole Anthony, coming in with like a low L10 and absolutely blowing it up for the Magic in the last few games. I think like the back-to-back games, he had like 50 plus so rare points or something like that. So the guy's going absolutely off, and it's nice to see the Magic on this run. So I want to kind of, no pun intended, capture that magic with
Oh
Cole
dear.
Anthony. Sorry,
Oh
it was
dear.
low hanging fruit right there. And then yeah, I got Christian Brown, the last pick for Nuggets. He's got 2 games. Both of them are against pretty good teams. He's let me down big time in the past, so I'm like, my gut reaction was don't go with him, and my gut reaction has been wrong pretty much every single time. So
Interesting.
I'm gonna trust to go with him this year. I mean, this week. Watch me bite my tongue within a few moments, but
It's an interesting strategy on the gut telling you not to go with it, but you know your gut that you've got it wrong so many times that you're going
dude,
against it now.
you have no idea. Last week, I was like, oh, I should put, like, should Cole Anthony go in here? And my gut was like, nah, don't. He has 1 game. And then he had 50 points, and he was like 27 points over his L10. I was just like, all right, I'm never trusting my gut ever again. So
Yeah, no.
got to go against it. We'll see if that's true, but we'll see. If
I
not,
mean
I got a good present to be giving away to the community, but we'll
yeah.
see.
Well, we'll touch on that in a moment. But in terms of that lineup, I mean, Cole Anthony will be the guy for you. He's coming off those 2 big heater games. I think he had like a 55-point score in the last 2 games. So he's a big one, especially with all the guys on the Magic right now. But I'll move on to it, and I will let me bring my one back up. So this is what I'm going to be running for champion.
Oh
So
wow.
snap, we've gone for Joel Embiid and Luka Doncic. So I might change it, but for the time being, I'll keep it as this because that'll also be interesting. I've also got a guy from the Magic of Franz Wagner, guy I had last year. I went shopping, picked up an Ivek Zubac or Iveka Zubac. I've never really got that one because I always
Yeah.
remember from his massive rebounding game the other year. And I always remember trying to pronounce it on the podcast and just could never do it. But I think of all the guys that are in and around, like I said at the top of the video, I think there's a lot of guys this week that are in funny places with their L10s. So all of the low end guys that you can normally play as like smash plays, I'm really struggling with. So he was one that I identified just primarily because he's playing the Warriors. And the Warriors don't deal well with big guys in general. And the form that they're in currently, I'll ride some of that. And then the last pick of like the cheaper guy that I had in my gallery that I could pick was Drew Eubanks. And primarily it's because the Suns have got 2 games And we all know what Yusuf Nurkic is like in terms of maybe on a back-to-back. So on a 14, I thought I'd take the risk. But yeah, that's going to be me for champion. And like we said at the top of the video, what we're going to do, the format of this sort of So Rare versus style is our limited champion and our limited contender teams. The score from both of them, so the accumulated score, whoever has the worst out of the two, they'll be doing a giveaway. So like I'll do a card giveaway of some sort, like a Jalen Brunson or something, because obviously we've got to rep the Knicks with John on at the moment. So it might be someone of that record. But if John loses, I'm sure he'll be getting out a sweet, sweet giveaway to one of you down below that I'll sort out. All you got to do is be a subscriber of the channel, like the video, and it will be done from there. Okay, guys, so this is the part of the video now where we're going to answer some questions that you sent over to me to ask John. So, John, the top of the video here is one actually, you know what? It's my video, so I'm going to start with my own question first.
Yes,
so obviously, like you guys, I think it's pretty well conceived that the in-season tournament was a big smash. And I know you guys today have announced a new product update. Is there an appetite within the So Rare team to sort of carry on long format competitions on the NBA side past the in-season tournament?
Yeah, so just like in the near future, we just did the knockout round, which I think is pretty cool. We got 25K up for grabs in one game week. It's a little different. We have like the one game week is just going to be actually 2 game weeks in one, because there's actually just one day of games for one of the like what would be the other game week. So we decided to combine them instead of just have like everything riding on one set of games. But yeah, absolutely. I think our appetite and hunger for it is definitely there. You just saw what we did with the winter comp, giving away $500,000, which is astronomical. I'm super excited to see where we can go from here and what else is coming out the pipeline. I know I can't say too much, but we do like the idea and we do like where it was headed. And yeah, that's where we're at right now.
Like on the football side of things, like I won in the first week on the Premier League one, on the winter tournament. I won like $50, I think. I came like 41st. But it's more of that, like, I think it's on the accumulation side as well. It encourages people that if you can play these long formats, but you don't have to hit every single week, like in the Super Cap 270s or in the Cap 220 on the football side. There are stages where, much like what we've had with the in-season tournament where it was 5 out of 7, if you do miss one of those weeks, it isn't completely over for you. And that's what allows people that don't have the massive galleries to compete with the sort of whales of So Rare, as you say. So I think in terms of going forward as well, I think of places to play cards, they're a fundamentally great sort of thing to have.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know like a piece of feedback that we always receive is more places to play cards and like obviously more rewards. And I think this is a great example of us doing both and kind of give our like what you will get from buying So Rare cards, and makes it so obvious. Like, oh, like DraftKings or someone like that has a $500,000 tournament. All you have to do is insert daily fantasy lineups. And what our call to action essentially is like, yes, you could do the same thing, but it's like way less time. You already have all of these cards. You don't need to draft a complete new team. It's way more user friendly because you know what you have and you know what's coming down the pipeline. So yeah, I really am a big fan of it. I'm excited to keep flexing that muscle a little bit more.
Absolutely. Right. So we'll move on now to a question from @J3RM_SoRare. Thanks for sending this thing. Has the new rule allowing employees to play So Rare opened them up to similar frustrations that the community can see by playing it? And it's a two-parter. And what have you enjoyed most by playing the best fantasy sports game in the world? It was his words. It was his words.
Hell yeah. Germ, love to hear it. Germ's my guy. What a good guy. Yeah, 100%. I don't know if you guys are like, if you're aware of like our pitch notes and our court report and like these new weekly product updates that come out every single week. That's what weekly means. So, yeah, that's like a perfect example of us playing the game and understanding these pain points. We are playing the game right now, and we're like, oh, doesn't look like as easy as it should be. This isn't as intuitive as it should be, and we're making these changes. So a ton of quality of life updates have been dropped recently, just from not only community feedback, but from our own feedback from playing the game and whatnot. And it really does let us realize what these pain points are and have a better point of view from managers. And even when talking to managers, I just have like so much more to say now, and like I'm in their shoes 100%. I'm waking up in the middle of the night to check my lineups and being like, oh my God, what just happened when I was asleep? And I'm finding myself watching like the Rockets and stuff. I'm just like, why am I watching the Rockets right now? But
Yeah.
like it is like I'm getting the full service, and I love it, and I love absolutely everything about it. The only downside is my girlfriend's like, stop setting your lineups, and like just getting on my
So
case about me like
you at work with
scouting.
So Rare, and now off work you're looking at So Rare for it.
Yeah,
That
yeah, of
comes with
course.
it. So, but no,
Yeah,
I think in general, having the guys that obviously work on the product, it was always going to be a beneficial thing. And I think in the long run, it will only improve it as well. Because the more you guys play it as well, you'll also see that if new stuff comes up within the community as a frustration or a pain point, then also immediately you guys will probably see it as well, if you know what I mean. So there isn't that sort of
100%.
lag on fixing things within the future. And obviously, and I think this is some of the struggle that we have in terms of as a community in general that play So Rare. Everyone that is watching the video, you yourself that work at So Rare, everyone that's in the office want it to be the best it can be. So like people aren't doing things and changing things to try and cause issues down the line. They want to do it so it's going to be better for the future. And like I've said, and I'm not saying this because you're on the show right now, but in general, of like this is a game that is just over a year old. We are just in season 2. Like last year was the first time it was ever a thing. So there are going to be pain points along the way to make it better, but it's part of the evolution of the game. That's how I've always seen it. It's how I've always said it.
100%. Yeah. Just like any startup or any product in general, a year and a half in, you got to take baby steps and you got to work your way up. And like that's what we're doing. And we're constantly trying to ship improvements and we're constantly trying to shape the game into what we want it to be and what we envision it in the future. And I think that with every update, we're making small small enhancements, and not even small, some of them are big enhancements towards that greater vision. So I agree completely, and I don't think I answered what my favorite part is. I think this is like a little stereotypical, but I've been like obsessed with scouting. Like I go on the marketplace and I just look for certain L pens and I look for who's going to outperform, and I've been following way more like Twitter accounts with injury updates, and it's just like my love for basketball has that never been stronger. And I feel like I come from like an extremely strong background with basketball as well. So it's just nice that like the scouting aspects and like my knowledge in general of like these, no offense, scrubs is just like so high right now, which is awesome.
Yeah.
I
No,
really do like that.
but that's sort of the bug per se that everyone that gets playing So Rare is you're always looking for that alpha, that sort of cheat that you can get of the weeks. And like last week, like I've said before, it was the DeAndre Jordan and Reggie Jackson side of things. And people can't really predict when a Jokic is going to sit out and a Jamal Murray injury and Gordon's out. But that's what makes this game the game itself. Like that's the best thing about it. Also, I feel like a complete idiot for saying J3RM instead of Germ. I should have completely picked that one up at the start of it. So, Germ, I apologize. But in any case, right, we'll move on to another question now from Jumpshoot NFT. Thanks for sending this in. When do So Rare plan on fully launching collections in the NBA?
Yeah, so we just released a little update on this today. We So for the past 2 months, 2.5 months, our focus has been building another product, which is Rivals, and we're really heads down in that. And our goal is to build a product that can onboard the masses and makes like our call to action and makes what So Rare is so obvious to the player. So while doing that, we acknowledge that some things may have fell flat. We may have slacked on some updates and things like that. Like today, we just announced List and Play is coming a week from today. So today's Thursday the 30th, so a week from today. And then we gave a little bit more insight on Club Shop and collections. We're hoping to get that out as soon as possible, but we are switching away from Rivals a little bit more and getting more heads down into the pro aspect of the game. Because you guys are right and we're listening to feedback, and we do need to be a little more reactive on that aspect, not even reactive, proactive. So we are switching back from the Rivals, but we took out on a huge undertaking with Rivals, and we're super happy with the direction it's heading and what all the feedback we've been receiving. I don't know if you've seen on Twitter and everything, but Rivals pretty went crazy socially on like the football side. And me being a NBA fan, and like I sit next to people from France and whatnot, and they love soccer, but they're like NBA Rivals is like incredible. Like this is making my like NBA fandom maybe even tied for soccer at this point. So it really is a good like a great product, and we've been really working our butts off. But I think in the defense of our community, like you can't always see what we're doing because like this product is not ready to be shipped right now. Like we're having the beta testers go and beta test it a little bit, George. That's gonna be you. So, but we're gonna have some beta testers test all of our ideas, all of like the actual product as a whole, see what you guys are thinking. But yeah, I'm super excited for you guys to see that. I know I kind of turned that into like a little Rivals promo, but that's honestly like the best answer I could give because it's the truth. We've just been really heads down, and that's why we kind of slacked on some of those things. But moving forward, all of our we're redirecting a lot of this manpower to things like club shop, which we mentioned, collections, what we mentioned, list and play is coming, so that already has a date and everything. But yeah, I acknowledge that we delayed some of it, but we're turning our head right back to it.
No, 100%. I mean, I've seen some of the rival stuff on the football side, and I've listened. Obviously, I listened to some of the creators that are on the football side. There's not as many within the NBA sphere currently, unfortunately. But all of the content creators that speak about the football stuff, they speak of it so highly on the rival sense. Like they was talking about like how they were watching like China v Taiwan games because they were just so involved in the rivals process for it, and cards that aren't even on so rate yet. So it'll be interesting to see when it eventually does come out, and like you said, if I can beta test it and see how it plays. I think it will add to the NBA experience, which is the whole point of everything, and sort of getting a mass on board for a sustainable future game is the whole idea behind it. Just because I don't want to skip over it and feel like Jump Shoot didn't have his question answered. Is there like a sort of rough estimate date of collections, or is it just something that you can't really give a preliminary date on right now?
I'm like the wrong person to ask about this because it's engineering, but
Right.
from my understanding, it's getting worked on right now, and we're looking to expedite the process.
Right. Okay, cool. Awesome. Okay, moving on. So another one in here now from at Sokol is, I believe, or Soki is the name that we're going to go for here. What's the plan in the future to tackle / ban players who engage in multi-accounting?
Yeah, that's a great question. I know that has been like a really hot point in the community recently, and with fair reason. Uh, this is like this is a
It's a
very
tough one.
interesting. Yeah. Because it's not an easy like. There's no easy fix right now. It's all about diligence, and it's all about creating new like stopping points for them for our PES team to be able, or our support team rather, to be able to pick up on them, easier ways to identify and things like that. So it's a constantly ever changing process because once we create a way to stop it, these guys are smart and they're able to see what we do to pick up on these on multi accounting and everything, and then they change their process. But it's only getting stronger in the past like month. We've had such big progress on this, and we're happy to say that we're going to only get better with more manpower that comes on, whether it's like fraud and anti-fraud people, anti like just mostly fraud. I think that's what would be considered. But as like that team grows stronger and stronger, the process will become way better. And I'm really happy with what we have completed in the past month or so. Uh, I know I like can't really talk about what exactly it is, but the process is only going stronger. Sorry for like the political answer, but it's
No,
just
no. What it's one in terms of multi-accounting, as like we've said, it is essentially an act of committing fraud, not as like a really dangerous like word to use for it. But I don't envy you guys trying to deal with that because the compliance levels that will be involved in trying to not ban people that haven't multi-accounted or accident, like there's so much work that has to go into it without just thinking of, oh, that person just made 2 accounts, just immediately ban him. Like there are more steps to which I think people perhaps don't think of all the time. But I think again, like you guys are on top of it. It's going to get better the way in which that you guys can proactively prevent it, and then also people are going to try and get smarter. So it's always going to be like a thing, I believe. But if you guys are keep getting stronger and stronger with it, hopefully the situation and the problem itself should shrink down over time. That's the ultimate end goal for it at the end of the day.
yeah, I mean, it goes back to the same thing that we're talking about, like product wise. Like we're a year and a half years old as a product, and as like time goes on, everything only gets stronger. So I think as we begin to hire out and like onboard more of our fraud department and things along that, it will only get better. But yeah, I'm actually I know the community isn't like the happiest where we're at with fraud, but like on an inside perspective, I am extremely happy with where we're at, and it is on top of minds for everyone. So like I know like not rest assured is the right word, but we are working on it and we are progressing and moving forward the chains a little bit.
Okay, so we've got 2 questions left. This one's coming in here from at Bramsell. Are we getting new switching tournaments like in the under 23s like we had last year in the East and Western Conference? And also, when can we make private leagues like we see in football?
Yeah, for sure. So I'll start with the rotating tournament one. Yeah, we just announced I think like the next 6 game weeks of rotating tournaments. We got U23. We have a Christmas Day, and I believe we have veterans as well. So got get those old heads out, get those young heads out, get those Christmas Day heads out. No, but it should be great. I'm super excited. I'm super excited for it. Christmas is gonna be really fun. It's gonna be for special edition cards, so that is always a win, especially when we could give them away and things along that nature for prizing. I think that's always a big win for sentiment. And I don't know if you know about our design team, but they're top class, so
Yeah.
it should be very fun to see what they look like. And shout out, if you guys haven't seen, please check out the
The
MLB Special Edition
I was
award
literally
cards.
about to say the MLB ones. I saw them yesterday, and like this was, and I don't want to. We will continue the question, but like the card designs on these ones for the switching tournaments and like the Christmas one, because like last year it was like Deck the Halls, and there was other ones that are in and around it. But I think it was a big thing last year of like, can we have special edition cards as prizes? So that when this comes in as well, I think like what you said before, how where the community is right now, I think when this kicks into gear and it comes up again, that'll be a really exciting tournament to be involved in.
For sure. It's going to be a ton of fun. I'm super excited for everyone to get a look at the cards. But yeah, just got to give props to the design team whenever I can. They really do kill it. They really do amazing things here at Sorare. So shout out to them. But yeah, they are coming. We announced them today. So that is, there goes your answer. And then for the private league things, I think it's mostly a UI problem more than anything. I think we can make it a little bit clearer how to access your private leagues, because you can access them. It's just like through the individual game week. You got to like click the tab up top, which is not as intuitive as it can be. But yeah, I will make sure the call to action is brought up like on the home page or something, so it's easier to click on and not as confusing for everyone. But yeah, appreciate the question. I think that's a good one.
One of the things that I wanted to talk about then in terms of the new tournaments and the switching tournaments are coming is that obviously there are like new season tournament card requirements. So like I know in the in-season tournament that had just gone, I think it was 3 cards or 4 cards for the new one. And then with these ones, I believe it's 2 that you have to have as the new season one. So just like from your point of view as a community, obviously some guys are like, oh, why have I got to go and buy new season cards to play in these tournaments? Like I've got all of these cards that I had last year. What's the sort of rationale and reasoning behind it from your guys' perspective?
Yeah, so I think in general, it's not like we're taking anything away from anyone. Like our evergreen tournaments are always going to have that access that people want with whatever season card. We're just offering more opportunities to use a certain aspect of cards. So if if we want to increase demand for season 1 cards or season 2 cards, excuse me, like it obviously makes sense to make a requirement like that. But I think in doing so, we're not absolutely ostracizing the group of people that doesn't want to spend more. You still have the opportunities to play and win, and even win those new cards, which you can use in those tournaments. So it's not like you even have to spend this money. I think like looking at it like not like a flywheel, but just like paths with anything. You can, let's think about FIFA. You can earn your coins and you could buy these packs with by earning them and playing and everything like that, or VC, for example, in 2K, or you could buy the VC, buy these new cards, and have a sick team way ahead of everyone else. Like, it's the same idea. If you want to progress up the ladder, then progress up the ladder. But if you want to get to the top of the ladder immediately and get as much utility as you can during this time frame, then you got to spend a little bit. And I think that's not a crazy thing to ask for. And I don't think that is like, that's just my point of view as well. And like I understand everyone has their other point of views and they feel like last season cards should be useful in every aspect, and to that point like they are. Like you can play them in these tournaments. We're just asking for 2, and we if you're able to play the game and win these cards, then there's no money down even needed at that point. So I think like that's my rationale. I can't speak for everyone at the company, but I think that's like a pretty fair take.
Yeah, no. So I mean, like my 2 cents, and like obviously, me and you have spoken for ages now in terms of Sorare stuff, so we're like fairly open. I've always said that in terms of how we see these things, we have those evergreen, those sort of, I call them staple competitions of the Contender and the Champion, and obviously Underdog this year. But like the new ones as well, everyone is asking for more and more and more. There then has to be sort of like a leeway between the two. And if we're going to get new competitions that are really cool and have got all of these new prizes involved, there has to be some give of like, okay, well, we need you to have 2 new season cards. And like you said as well, I know like, and we're going to touch on the last question of it in rare, but like I haven't got the biggest gallery in the world, and I've won a couple of rare rewards this year that I can now use for if I want to play an under 23 or veterans or whatever it is, or even in the in-season tournament on the knockout stage. So like you said before, I think the ladder analogy is a really good one of it. The 2K VC one threw me a little bit on there, but I mean, the analogy of winning but I think the ladder analogy of sort of like, not everyone has to play in these competitions when they come out. You're not being forced to buy the cards. But like, if you've done well in the competitions from the start of the season and you can enter them with that, great. If not, then you want to enter them, then there's 2 cards that you got to buy. But then you can also use these cards forever. Like, you're not just buying them for that one competition and then they never ever got any utility. They have utility throughout the rest of the season, the playoffs that come, and then next year as well. And then there'll be that's how this game is designed to work. That's how I see things. So I think it's just, people have just got different opinions, and that's what's also great about the whole game. But that's just where we sit. So
For sure. Yeah, and I'm historically bad at metaphors and analogies, so apologies for that. But yeah, ladder, you got to climb your way up, or you could just buy the cards, which is like an elevator straight to the top. So I think that's a good analogy right there. It took me a second to come up with it. But yeah, that's essentially where we're at right now with these special tournaments. I mean, I think we're giving away a ton of money, and there's a ton on the line in terms of So Rare. And all we're asking is just like a few cards. I think that is fair, and we're not trying to take anything away from you or take any utility away from you. We're just adding utility to certain yeared cards, which I think is fair and is in line with what we promise with our core values and etc.
Well, it was another thing as well. Was like, and I just thought this on the fly. Like, I remember people in the off season being like, "I'm not sure I have an excuse to go out and buy any new cards," which obviously, like, is a reason for one. We all want to play this game. There has to be a sustainable manner. If people that are making content are like, I don't have a reason to go out and buy cards, then that's a big problem in general. Like, because at the end of the day, we're trying to get people on board in the game, to make it as big as possible. But if the pre-existing like user base doesn't have a reason, then there isn't, like, then it's a big issue in general. So we'll move on to the final question now. Thank you very much, Statman Trey, for sending this in. And it's a big one that's been around the community now for a little while. Rare rewards update. John, can you shed any light on this?
Yeah, let's talk about it. Let's dive in. So we just released an update today. We talked with a lot of managers throughout the season. We really ruminated on it and thought about the best way of doing so. We knew that it would be a good idea to try to add a new type of reward into the system, and we thought marketplace credits have been fairly well received in the past. We thought that would be a good, like, I don't know, stepping stone into this. And we're sort of right and sort of a little off the mark, which is fine. I think that instead of like a be all, fix all, this isn't the end of the line. Like, I think like the moral of the story is like, through this whole podcast, like, this is a working, ever changing product that we have to take steps towards making into what people want. And in doing so, we're taking the first step at, okay, we're extending the tail end of rewards. We're not taking anything away. We're just trying to extend the percentage of rewards so that the tail end at least can open something. We know how frustrating it is to not win, and how validating it can be just opening anything. And that's not to say like we want to give you anything to open. We do want it to have some sort of utility, and we want you to open it and be like, okay, now I feel like I did something and completed something and won something. And in doing so, we thought that these marketplace credits are a great first step.
So, I mean, like, and again, I've said this not just because you're on here now, I've always said this. So the thing that I've loved most since I've started playing So Rare a year and a half ago, whenever I started, that you guys will change things. And obviously, like any company, you get a lot of things right, but sometimes you get things wrong as well. And when you get things wrong, you're very, very quick and agile to hold your hand up and say, like, look, we've missed the mark on this one a bit. Here's what we're going to do to rectify this, and try different solutions. Now, again, like I've said in another one, I really, really sympathize with how to try and to change the mint scarcities to 10% of what they were last year was obviously a huge thing that then has a knock-on effect through rare rewards and everything that comes from it. So this is a sort of solution. It's good to see that it's being proactively taken. I know people have been like, when rare rewards change and all of this, but it's been like 10 game weeks. Like, it hasn't been a great deal of time. And like, if you take a step back, it hasn't been a long amount of time. So to see an update already is a positive sign. Like, it could have gone on for a way longer. We'll see how it obviously works. And then you guys will be able to see on the back end if it works for you, if it's working for the users as it goes down the line. But I think the one question I had from it, because I wasn't entirely sure, on the credit side, like if I win in Contender and I win like $20 of credits or whatever it accumulates to be, I'm not sure what the rewards are. Is it specific to the NBA, or can I use that in MLB? Can I use that in football? Do you know?
That's a great question. I actually don't know that question off the top of my head. That's a great question. I didn't even think about that. We definitely mentioned it, so I can get that answer for you after the stream. But yeah, I think you brought up good points that I didn't even bring up. Like obviously supply comes into play. We decrease these amounts. Limited was 5x rare, super rare, 10x, I guess, as limited would essentially 5k to 1k, 100, I mean 1,000 to 100, 100 to 10. So it's a big
Yeah.
difference, double the amount essentially. But we want to get creative, and we want to be able to make people feel, like I said, like they're winning something, and they can open these prizes, and this is part of the process. And I think that as we continue to unfold this process, it'll only get better. And yeah.
I think as well, like it's as well, it's easy to see that if you're going on, and I think when the club shop comes and coins are about as well with rewards, that will also help in terms of that aspect of the at the end of the game week, if you haven't won a card or cash or whatever, or credits, you've got coins, so you're building over that sort of longevity point of view. But I also think of just like in general, this year, it's easier to win the top cards, like the tier ones. Like that doesn't get made. Like I always want to give the balance to it. So whilst it can, there are some issues with rare rewards at the start. To win the top tier cards in Contender, it is easier than last year. So there are balance and ebbs and flows. Like when you win this year, you win better than you did last year. It's just harder to get it. So that's the kind of issue that I think the community has with it. And that's like it's everyone's opinions are entitled to it. I said at the start of the year that when you do win, I'd rather win better than you did. But obviously everyone's different. That's how, and I completely agree with some people's opinions on this one. But it's like I said at the start of it, it's good to know that you guys are obviously aware of this. You've made the changes inside of it, and we'll wait and see how they pan out in terms of the coming game weeks and see if they're a success or not. And then you guys will evaluate. So.
For sure. And I think that's like another great point that you bring up is like not everyone wants the same thing when it comes to rewards. So do some people want a higher end rewards where the top half get way more and there's less of a tail? Or do people want less of a top tail and then it just goes heavy on the bottom end and we give out more rewards? I think like that is also another thing that we have to think about, and we are thinking about, and we're talking to managers about, because we love feedback here. And I know that sometimes people don't think we're reading the feedback. I can guarantee we read every single piece of feedback that we get. Like I've read so much feedback in the past year that it's crazy, and I love it. But we are reading this feedback, and we're constantly, like I'm saying, we're constantly innovating. We're constantly moving that needle. We're trying to move those chains. So I am,
Absolutely.
yeah.
And I mean, like, obviously, when this video goes up, it'll be Friday, it'll be evening UK time. It'll be midday America when this comes out. But I mean, I'll be active. I'm sure John will be active. I'm going to leave John's socials down below as well. You're probably following him on Twitter or X nowadays, down below. I'll leave all of that there. We'll probably be online because there's going to be follow-up questions that come from this video. Like if there's something that I've missed or someone hasn't sent the question in and they wanted to know, there'll be stuff that follows up from it in either the YouTube comments down below or on Twitter, and both of us, I'm going to be involved because if there's someone that raises another point, I'm going to get involved in it. Because at the end of the day, if you're watching this video, you're either not signed up to Sorare and you're interested, PS there'll be a link in the description to sign up, or you'll be loving Sorare. That's where it is right now. So I don't think there's anything else I have to ask, John. I think that does it. Thank you very much for coming on.
Man.
It's been a pleasure to have you.
Of course.
And we'll do this again at some point, I think later down the line in the season, if you're down for it as well, because I think the versus mode, whoever wins is going to want redemption. So I think that's where we're going to go from it.
1,000,000%. Maybe we could do this in person sometime. That would sound crazy, right? I don't know. We'll see.
We'll see about that one. But yeah, make sure if you like this sort of style of format where I have a guest on and we're going to go through our Sorare teams together, make sure you hit subscribe, leave a like on the video, comment down below what other kind of guests you'd maybe like on the channel. And if not, I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching and peace.